no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria.
Democracy Day, President Tinubu dismisses rumors of one-party state in Nigeria. Protests erupt despite police warnings as Nigerians decry rising hardship. 96 houses burnt, lives lost, survivors recount Mango attack. On the foreign scene, more than 200 killed as Air India plane crashes after takeoff in Ahmedabad. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. My name is Idris Baturi. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says he does not view the notion of a one-party state as good for Nigeria, nor has he ever attempted to alter any political party registration with the Independent National Electoral Commission. President made the clarification on Thursday as he addressed a joint session of the National Assembly on the occasion of Democracy Day. Kehinde Amodu reports.
President Tinubu was one of the key players that fought the military for a return to democratic governance after the June 12, 1993 elections were annulled 32 years ago. This address is the first presidential address to the National Assembly on the day, ever since former President Muhammadu Buhari on the 6th of June 2018 declared June 12 as the new date to mark Democracy Day. The tradition previously was to deliver a nationwide broadcast on the morning of June 12. But this year, Tinubu decided to address a joint session of the National Assembly. The first point to emphasize is that he can never be part of any plot to turn Nigeria into a one-party state, hinting that there were efforts to do that as far back as 2003, which he stood against. The president, however, points out that he will not stop anybody seeking to switch political parties, which he describes as bailing out of a sinking ship.
To those who ring the alarm that the AP is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While you are alive, as a result of your panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria.
The second point he emphasizes is that fundamental reforms introduced by his administration to correct structural imbalances that prevented maximum growth are already yielding results. He stresses that these reforms have placed the economy on a more rational footing, where critical decisions regarding large-scale investment can now be made.
On assuming office, my team and I moved to reform our ailing economy. We introduced fundamental reforms to correct structural imbalances that prevented maximum growth. We are already seeing results. The GDP grew by 3.4% in 2024, with Q4 hitting 4.6%. The highest quarter growth in over a decade.
After 33 years, President Tinubu believes the time is right to recognize the efforts of those that died in the struggle to return Nigeria to the path of democracy. He is conferring posthumous national honors on Kudirat Abiola, Shehu Musa Yaradua, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, Rear Admiral Ndubuisi Kanu, Balarabe Musa, Bagautu Kaltho, and 20 others. Also remembered and honored in death are Ken Saro-Wiwa and the Ogoni Nine. The president is also conferring honors on living legends like Professor Wole Soyinka, Professor Olatunji Dare, Dapo Olorunyomi, Bayo Ononuga, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, Senator Shehu Sani, Femi Falana, and 23 others. This address and the conferment of national honors are tools focused on stirring the nostalgia of Nigerians and convincing them that the present administration is sensitive to the struggle of citizens. The problem is, despite the pitch, Nigerians are still uncomfortably aware of the hardship ushered in by the present government. Only tangible improvements in their living standards will convince citizens that democracy is synonymous with positive change. From the National Assembly, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Now, Senate President Godswill Apkabio on Thursday pushed back against criticisms that the 10th National Assembly is a rubber-stamped legislature, saying that collaboration with the executive is essential for national progress. Speaking during the joint session of the National Assembly to mark Democracy Day and welcome President Bola Tinubu to the chambers, Apkabio said the legislature remains firmly committed to holding the executive accountable while also working together to deliver good governance. The report.
Apkabio also called on the president to establish the June 12 museum to archive the works of pro-democracy advocates, some of whom paid the supreme price in the interest of the nation. While lauding President Tinubu for his achievements in 2 years, Apkabio noted that those who criticize federal lawmakers have no idea why they are occupying their seats.
We gather not to mourn injustice, but to honor resilience. We observe not the triumph of politicians, but the enduring faith of the Nigerian people in democracy. A faith that survives betrayal, braved tear gas, defied armored tanks, endured silence, and still chose the ballot over the bullets.
On his part, Speaker of the House of Representatives Abbas Tajuddin called for the institutionalization of an annual presidential address to a joint sitting of the National Assembly on Democracy Day. The Speaker urged President Tinubu to make the engagement a yearly tradition to deepen executive-legislative collaboration and reinforce democratic accountability.
Within 2 years, we have reviewed 2,263 bills. Of these, 65.3 have passed second reading, while 186 have been successfully passed. A total of 51 bills have received presidential assent, marking an unprecedented milestone for any president in his first 2 years.
Abbas, while reflecting on the symbolic weight of the moment, said the president's presence underscored the democratic credentials, tracing Tinubu's journey from the Nadeko struggle against military rule to the presidency under the Renewed Hope agenda. Meanwhile, lawmakers have been reflecting on what this day means for Nigeria and what they expect from the presidency going forward. While leaders honor the legacy of June 12 and the struggle for democratic freedom, lawmakers at the National Assembly are also sending a clear message to President Bola Tinubu to make the next 2 years count.
26 years of interrupted democracy have come a long way. If you know where we are coming from military rule up to this level, you know that, like they say, Rome is not built in a day.
No matter how bad democracy is, I prefer democracy more than the military junta. Nigerians have the opportunity to elect their representative people that represent them in the House of Representatives, in the Senate. They have the right to elect who they want to be their president. So that in itself is an achievement.
In the last 2 years of this current administration, every person has come to attest to the fact that indeed Nigeria as a nation is being navigated on the right path for a very long time, since we ever witnessed this trajectory. Every indicator shows that our economy is improving, is doing well.
I want to commend the president for the bills that were passed here and for the tax reforms and other things. We were really very happy and proud that this is what we were able to do.
First and foremost, I have to congratulate the Nigerians for having an uninterrupted democracy day. From 1999 to date, we have a democracy that is working, even though there are so many challenges.
The lawmakers, come across various political party affiliations, reaffirmed their commitment to democratic principles, arguing that democracy, despite its flaws, offers greater accountability, civil liberties, and public participation than any period of military rule.
Now, the movement for the survival of Ogoni people, MOSOP, led by Fegalon Suki, has expressed appreciation to President Bola Tinubu for granting a posthumous presidential pardon to 9 Ogoni rights activists executed by the military regime of the late General Sani Abacha in 1995. Those granted pardon included Ken Saro-Wiwa, Nubari Kobel, Dodu Ewo, Saturday Dubi, John Punem, Paul Levura, Daniel Oboku, Felix Nuati, and Barry Bobera. Suki, in a statement, described the pardon as a historic and courageous act of national reckoning and vital step toward healing the deep wounds inflicted on Ogoni people and the Nigerian conscience. He said President Tinubu had distinguished himself by responding with compassion and boldness to a long-standing demand for justice from marginalized people. He, however, added that while the presidential pardon was an important milestone, it inherently suggested that a crime was committed and forgiven. He maintained that in the case of Ken Saro-Wiwa and his compatriot, the crime ever took place, adding that their convictions were the result of deeply flawed, politically motivated process lacking in fairness or due process. He therefore urged President Tinubu to go a step further by initiating a process for the full exoneration of the Ogoni 9 by setting up a judicial commission of inquiry. Now, it's been 26 years since Nigeria returned to democratic rule, a journey marked by highs, lows, and defining moments that continue to shape the country's political landscape, from the turbulent transitions of the First Republic to the resilience of the ongoing Fourth. Nigeria's democratic experience is as complex as it is compelling. In this explainer, Abdullahi Ahmed takes a closer look at the evolution of Nigeria's republics, what they stood for, why they fell, and how each chapter has brought the nation to where it stands today.
Nigeria's current democratic run has just turned 26. It is the longest stretch of civilian rule in Nigeria's history, a milestone that invites both reflection and reckoning. Now we take a sweeping look at how we got here through the rise and fall of the First, Second, and Third Republics and the evolution of the Fourth. Each republic carried the weight of hope. Each was shaped by power, politics, and the people. Some collapsed under the strain of division. Others never truly began. And one, still unfolding, holds the promise of something greater if it can overcome the ghost of the past. So, let's begin. The First Republic lasted from 1963 to 1966. It followed a British-style parliamentary system with Nnamdi Azikiwe as ceremonial president and Tafawa Balewa as Nigeria's prime minister. Power was heavily regional. The North, East, and West operated like mini-states, but ethnic rivalry, electoral violence, and corruption tore it apart. A bloody military coup in January of 1966 ended Nigeria's first attempt at civilian rule. Then came the Second Republic, which was born in 1979, introducing a US-style presidential system. Shehu Shagari emerged president. The old political guard returned, but the same old problems resurfaced. The oil boom ended. Corruption soared. Ethnic politics dominated once again. By 1983, another military coup, this time led by General Muhammadu Buhari, shut it all down. Then came the Third Republic, which was short-lived and chaotic. General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida engineered a controlled transition, allowing just two parties, the NRC and the SDP. In June of 1993, business mogul MKO Abiola won what is widely seen as Nigeria's freest election ever. But Babangida annulled the results, sparking a national crisis. An interim government failed. The military returned under General Sani Abacha, and the republic collapsed in under a year. Then came the Fourth Republic back in 1999, and it is still running. From Obasanjo to Yar'Adua, Jonathan to Buhari, and now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this era has been Nigeria's longest stretch of democratic governance. It's seen peaceful handovers, rising youth activism, and sweeping electoral reforms. But old ghosts remain: corruption, weak institutions, voter suppression, and insecurity still shape Nigeria's political life.
Now, as the nation marked Democracy Day on this Thursday, many across the country say the day is not just a public holiday, but a commemoration deeply rooted in the nation's collective memory as a symbol of resilience, sacrifice, and the unwavering pursuit of freedom. Trust TV's Abubakar Abdullahi Galadima reports.
The legacy of democracy in Nigeria rests on the sacrifice of heroes like MKO Abiola, Kudrat Abiola, and many others who struggled to lay the foundation for the country's democratic rebirth. However, speaking with Trust TV, many voiced deep disappointment, saying that while democracy arrived with bold promises, those promises are yet to materialize, leaving behind a trail of familiar frustrations. Rumanu Sungwanyi, one of the respondents, made a heartfelt appeal to political leaders, urging them to take decisive action. He lamented that policies such as removal of fuel subsidy and a subsequent skyrocketing cost of food are not just economic challenge, but are existential threats pushing families to the edge.
The democracy, it favors not all. And indeed, when we talk about democracy in Nigeria, you discover that there is many manipulation in democracy, which we still want to amend it, because some amendment is only giving condition to the masses and don't allow the masses to speak about their own feeling. If you can discover 2023 election and so on and so forth here is very horrible to the country. It's not what we expected. But despite that, there is no country that can say it's 100% good.
Also weighing in, Emmanuel Naxin said the current state of the nation barely reflects the ideals of democracy. He called on leaders to do more to alleviate the suffering of ordinary Nigerians.
Majority of people don't even know that today is Democracy Day, if not by like now that you are saying it, for example. So we are just on our own surviving, you know. If it's politically, our leaders, they should do more. They should do more because we have more than enough for what we need to actually sustain the people in the country.
Meanwhile, opposition parties used the occasion to criticize the ruling administration. In his Democracy Day message, the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi, said the APC-led government has failed to deliver on its promises. He particularly emphasized the administration's shortcoming in ensuring security and welfare of Nigerians.
No significant improvement in education, in healthcare, in poverty alleviation, which we all know is the most critical measure of national development. Corruption is at its worst in this administration. Nigeria have now become a crime scene.
As June 12 celebration unfolded, the End Bad Governance movement staged a peaceful protest in several cities, including Lagos, Oyo, and Federal Capital Territory, demanding accountability and better governance. Abubakar Abdullahi Galadima, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, as Nigeria marks 26 years of uninterrupted civil rule, political observers say the country's leaders have not added value to the democratic process throughout the years. Discussing the current state of the nation, various contributors to Trust TV's Special Democracy Day broadcast argued that government was not fulfilling the bare earnings of the people. The reports.
Democracy Day was moved to June 12 by former President Muhammadu Buhari on the 6th of June 2018. The change of date was to reflect the roots of agitation for democratic governments when Nigeria was still under the thumb of the military. 26 years after the advance of democracy, there are bold assertions that the type of governance envisioned by those who sacrificed for democracy in those their time has not been realized. Public affairs commentators like Emmanuel Osaimeka believe that the political actors in the Fourth Republic have not lived up to expectations. This is because pressing issues like poverty have not been tackled across board, from the local governments to the state governments.
26 years of uninterrupted democratic rule, from one democratic government to the other, and of course, 36 years after the June 12 annulment of the June 12 presidential election, which was won by Chief MK Abiola, of blessed memory. Unfortunately, I would say that the actors within this dispensation have not lived up to, their bidding or their expectation.
Historian and political analyst Professor Al-Kasum Abba noted that June 12 is a product of an undemocratic political process somewhere down the line in Nigerian history. Based on this, the historian argues that an undemocratic process cannot be a product of free and fair election, as all the parties are the same, which means real change will only come when least imagined.
The process that produced June 12 was very undemocratic. In the first place, the Nigerian population were not allowed to establish their parties. When the transition program was announced, 38 parties emerged. Out of 38, 13 sent their application for registration at NEC.
Former Minister of Women Affairs Inna Seruma says women are not happy with the democratic system in Nigeria because they are being marginalized. She also stressed that the present leaders have failed.
So they participate a lot. When we have conventions, when you have party campaigns, you find more women go out. They follow the men for campaign, and not as if you don't have qualified women. You have women that are very, very qualified to hold positions in Nigeria. You have women that are very, very qualified to contest for positions in Nigeria, but unfortunately, they are not given their rightful positions. So they participate, but they don't benefit.
The analysts agree that the political leaders need to be less self-serving and care more about the Nigerian people. They believe that for democracy to be more impactful on Nigerians, government policy must be targeted properly to lift their standards of living.
Despite efforts by security authorities to suppress the planned protest in Lagos, hundreds of Nigerians took to the streets on Thursday in a bold demonstration against economic hardship and passive government's repression. The report.
The protests, which began at the Ikeja underbridge, continued in defiance of warnings issued by the Lagos State Police Command and restrictions placed on public gatherings by the state government. Activists and demonstrators accused the authorities of double standards, pointing out that members of the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) were also seen at protest sites visibly identifiable by party attire, including face caps and uniforms.
Well, we can see so far now that despite the attempt to disrupt this protest, especially Commissioner of Police in Lagos State and his machinations over the last 48 hours, to make sure that this protest does not hold, we are here to. They even have out their sponsored agents, despite the fact that Lagos State government is saying that processions will only hold in certain restricted places. And those of us activists who are protesting outside of those segregated places, that we are breaking the law. Today you can see members of the APC in their gaps, in their face caps, also here at Ikeja Underbridge, also at different parts of the state, violating the same rule that the CP claims we are violating. What does that tell you? It tells you that all these are machinations to keep people from resisting. And despite all of that, I'm very much happy today that Nigerians in their numbers have proved out. Of course, the number could have been much more than this if there was no intimidation. But we are happy that at least a number of people still came out in their courageous to resist the attempt to cut through our freedom of assembly.
Speaking at a protest in Lagos, a protester, Cecilia Enuku, painted a grim picture of daily life in Nigeria, where the cost of basic needs have skyrocketed beyond the reach of many.
House rent now has been more than doubled. My landlord last year, this year, he increased my rent.
Where am I staying? Just one room.
One room.
Just one room.
120.
I am not conducive. The place is not even conducive for me.
No water.
But what can I do? What can I do? I have to pay it if I don't want to move out from the place, because getting houses now is very, very expensive. Everything is expensive. 2 years ago, my sister died in the hospital. We were supposed to take her to Port Can in General Hospital Ikorodu. And when we were going, because she could not walk again, she was using oxygen to breathe. And when we were going on the road, the oxygen stopped. After paying for it.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Olawundare Moshood, is assured residents of continued peace and order amid ongoing nationwide protest marking Nigerians Democracy Day.
So far, so good. Everything is there's no any distraction anywhere. So we are going to proceed with them from here, respect them, and ensure that everything is safe. From here to get that vibe, because that is where we agree. Because if you look at where we are, there's a lot of commercial activity and private individuals and other well-meaning Nigerians that we need access to their facilities. And there are quite a number of people that are equally moving on the road to celebrate. So where your right stop is where another person's right begins. So I believe that they be hard. So if they have been hard, and I think it's good as that. So, but we provide maximum security for all the.
At the time of filing this report, protesters are taken to the streets of Lagos in a coordinated march towards Gani Fawehinmi Park in Ojota, chanting slogans against economic hardship and what they describe as growing authoritarianism.
Coalition for Socialist, Labour activists and students on Thursday protested against hardship and hunger, demanding a worthwhile living for every Nigerian. The peaceful protesters gathered at the popular Mokola roundabout and moved to some parts of Ibadan, including Sabu, Okepadre, Dugbe, Eleyele Junction and Agodi Gate, while security agencies followed the procession to avert any breakdown of law and order. Some of the organizers lamented the failure of democracy is evident in areas like poor electricity supply and bad electoral reforms, among other social amenities. The protesters called on President Bola Tinubu to ensure transparency, accountability, and other socio-economic reforms that will ease the sufferings of Nigerians.
We are saying that hope for the people should be that there should be more food on our table. Hope for the people is that the hospital should be equipped. We are saying hope for the people should be that the schools should be funded. We are saying hope for the people is that our education should become competitive.
I've come here to say that there is nothing to celebrate about today's democracy. Because what we have imposed on us is economic hardship.
Come on well and stop killing our soldiers, stop killing our farmers. We want autonomy of the local government. Fund Nigeria, more content per local government. Just about 24 local government. Let people be employed. Let's have good roads. Let's have education for our children. Let's have good healthcare. Is that too much to ask of a government?
We are citizens and we are still citizens till now. So the greatest power, the greatest office in any country lies in the people. The problem is just Nigerians don't understand. We don't realize the power we have. That's why we let these politicians do us anyhow.
Now, residents of Osun State on Thursday urged the federal government to address the worsening economic hardship and end the growing hunger crisis in the country. During a peaceful procession along major streets of Osogbo, the state capital, held in commemoration of Democracy Day, participants expressed frustration over the high cost of living, describing it as unbearable. Hamid Oegbadi reports.
The protest, organized by the Osun Civil Society's coalition, began at Ayetoro and moved through Igbona Market, Olunkoro, Ajegunle Market, Dugbe, Old Garage, MDS Market, Olaiya Intersection and Fakunle before concluding near the old governor's office. The demonstrators, led by the leaders of the coalition, demanded good governance and urgent action from the administration of President Bola Tinubu to alleviate the economic challenges facing Nigerians.
They are demanding for adequate security for the life and property of the citizen, an economic that will work for the people, economic that will recognize the masses of our people, not an economy that will represent the interests of the IMF or the World Bank.
Any government without taking concern of the masses of the people, it's not other democracy, it's also democracy or other dictionary meaning of the name. The democracy concerns is for everyone, everything non-enchanted, to be given equal rights.
We are out today on the 12th of June being Democracy Day, and we are demanding a true democracy that will allow the rights of Nigerian citizens to be upheld, the democracy that will allow people to access of basic needs like food, shelters and clothing.
The civil society coalition also urged the federal government to properly recognize the winner of the June 12, 1903 election and provide appropriate compensation to his family. Amid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Now, unlike several other parts of the country, Democracy Day in Kano State was marked without any street protest. Although there were rumors of planned demonstrations linked to the nationwide Take It Back movement, these were eventually dispelled by residents. Still, some citizens used the day to reflect on the state of the nation and the meaning of democracy. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim reports.
In Kano, Democracy Day began under tight security, especially in areas previously affected by unrest during the August 1st protest. By 5 a.m., residents of Kwanar Freedom began receiving alerts about a flyer circulating online allegedly linked to the Take It Back movement. The flyer called for a protest and listed Kwanar Freedom as one of the convergence points, along with other locations in 17 other states.
A gaskiya maganan zanga-zanga mu ba mu san da issue dinta ba ma, kawai dai mun fito wurin aiki.
I don't know about any protest, but when I got to my place of business this morning, I heard that this area was listed. Still, we didn't see any signs of that happening.
Amma dai ko da sunan wasa ba alama wani abu da ya kama da zanga-zanga a Kwanar Freedom ba.
There's no protest here in Kwanar Freedom. I think it's just social media trying to create unnecessary panic. Despite the speculation, no protest took place. Instead, residents used the moment to share their concerns about the country's democratic journey.
Democracy Day.
We are thankful to witness this Democracy Day, but democracy in Nigeria still has a long way to go. Our leaders are not acting in the interest of the masses. We pray for change and lasting peace. Whatever it takes to fix our country, we support it. That's what democracy should be. But unfortunately, our leaders focus on the wrong priorities, ignoring key issues like the high cost of living and insecurity.
Wanda in ka duba da saman da kasan da duk kusan abu ɗaya ne, musamman ma'aikata da sunan an ƙara albashi, amma albashin ya zama baya iya rike rayuwa na kwana 10 zuwa kwana 14.
At both state and federal levels, the increased workers' salaries still can just last one for just 10 to 13 days.
Gwamnati shekara da za a shiga ta 2026 magana.
Therefore, governments at all levels must address this issue, especially as they've spent 2 years in office and we are approaching 2026 and the election year. Democracy doesn't seem to have any use for us because it feels like our cries no longer have any impact. Though the streets of Kano remained peaceful, the voices of its people carried a clear message, a call for democratic governance that truly serves the people. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, as the nation marks June 12 Democracy Day across the country, security has been beefed up in Kaduna with the presence of combined security personnel deployed at strategic locations within the metropolis. Trust TV's Bello Musa also report that civil society and a cross-section of some residents reflect on the economic situation affecting the lives of the masses in Nigeria.
Kaduna, without protest, event or procession by civil society groups, or demonstrations by the Take It Back movement. However, some members of the People's Redemption Party under the late Balaraba Musa political family celebrated the day reflecting on the sacrifice of Balaraba Musa and other heroes of the June 12 fighters.
Though June 12 has been recognized and declared a public holiday, commemorate the heroes of our democracy struggle, particularly the late MQ Abiola, who paid the supreme sacrifice. The celebration of June 12 has remained hollow for its failure to recognize the family of those who stood firm in doubting circumstances and paid the painful price of intimidation, incarceration, and exile.
They call on federal government to establish a June 12 Democracy Hero Foundation to recognize those who sacrificed for democracy in Nigeria. The celebration of the day comes at a time when Nigerians are grappling with a myriad of challenges, with some residents expressing divergent views on the happenings in the country.
There's nothing like happiness in this country due to the security and look at the way things is going on.
But the present government that has come on board has taken the bull by the horn to make sure that this country come to the level that every of us will know that we are staying in a country that we have to live a good life.
We thank God because there is progress as well as several challenges. Political analysts and the public commentators also reflect on the challenges and the way forward.
This democratic dispensation has not given rise to any development, meaningful development in Nigeria. It has only succeeded in weaponizing poverty. It has succeeded in weaponizing hunger. It has succeeded in weaponizing insecurity.
For me, as an analyst, I didn't see a direct impact or rather a direct benefit as to what people have benefited. Are you going to take insecurity? Are you going to take health? Are you going to take rural water supply? Are you going to take, what are those indicators that you now applaud government for what it has done?
In the early hours of the day, security agencies were stationed at different locations in Kaduna Metropolis. The road from Badiko to Sakashim Ibrahim House was also blocked, forcing motorists to divert their route. Bello Musa, Cross TV News, Kaduna.
Now moving on to more stories, a group of Benue State youth and women on Thursday staged a rally in Makurdi to support the present administration. The youth under the aegis of pro-Tinubu Alia support groups stormed the major streets of Makurdi, the state capital, drumming support for second terms for President Tinubu and the state governor Hyacinth Alia. The group eventually converged at the roundabout leading to the government house, expecting the governor to address them. The pro-Tinubu Ali rally came a few hours after armed headers launched the latest attacks in Makurdi, killing scores of persons. Earlier, armed headers attacked the Muswenem and Akondu Tiok villages in the North Bank area of Makurdi on Wednesday night, killing several persons and leaving scores injured. The Benue State University Teaching Hospital subsequently issued an urgent appeal for blood donations to save the lives of injured victims who are currently battling for their lives. Now, no fewer than 14 persons were reportedly killed on Wednesday evening, while 2 others were injured in the same attack when their car was ambushed around the Nkiondoro community in Basa local government area of Plateau State. It was gathered that among the 4 victims of the attack is a 9-month-old baby, 2 women and 1 man, while the 2 others who sustained injuries were women. The 4 were said to be conveying their tomatoes from their farms to an area in Nkenduro community for onward transportation to Faringada market in Jos for sale. Josiah Zongo, who is the Mango Community Security Commander, confirmed the incident, saying the victims have been taken to the mortuary, while those injured are receiving treatment at an undisclosed health facility. There is no immediate reaction from the police command on the incident yet. In another development, Marish community of Mangulukul government area of the state also came under attack on Wednesday night, but the attackers were said to be repelled by the villagers. Now, residents of Giamboas community in Langai district of Mangu local government area, Plateau State, are counting their losses following a brutal attack by gunmen. Eyewitnesses allege that the attackers looted food items, mattresses, livestock, and other valuables during the raid. Ado Musa reports.
According to residents, the attack occurred on Monday morning while people were going about their daily activities. The gunmen, said to have arrived in large numbers, opened fire indiscriminately, forcing villagers to flee. 3 people, 2 women and a woman, were reportedly killed, while approximately 96 houses were set ablaze. Survivors are still reeling from the impact. Yesterday, gunmen attacked our community, firing shots and forcing residents to flee. They looted mattresses, food, livestock, and other valuables, set our homes on fire, and killed 3 people. This is our first experience with such violence, and we are appealing for help from security agencies and well-meaning individuals. I lost 28 livestock, 10 bags of fertilizer, 17 bags of food, and 100 birds in the attack. My motorcycle was also stolen. I urge the chairman of Mangu local government area to investigate and address this issue. We have always lived peacefully and can't understand why we were targeted. The chief imam of the community, Isiaka Haruna, said he was on his farm when the attackers struck. Soon after they arrived, they began shooting and setting houses ablaze. It was a terrifying experience. They destroyed food and other properties and made away with animals and valuables. There is absolutely no justification for this attack. Attacks and killings have become recurring in many communities across Bassa, Riom, Jos South, Bokos, and Mangu local government areas of the state, leading to significant loss of lives and property. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now overwhelmed by the incessant communal violence and bloodshed in his domain, the chairman of Karim Lamido local government area in Taraba State, Bitrus Danjos, broke down in tears during a stakeholders meeting held on Thursday in Karim Lamido town, the local government headquarters. Kneeling before a hall filled with ethnic representatives, including Fulani leaders and security agents, Danjos sobbed openly and pleaded with all groups to end the violence and embrace peace.
Since I assumed office as the chairman of this local government council, 2 years ago, we have recorded 28 communal and ethnic crises. There was a violent conflict between Wurkum and Karimjo ethnic groups, as well as clashes involving Shomo and Wurkum communities. Additionally, there were disputes between the Munga, Lelau, and Fulani headsmen, and another between Fulani headsmen and Bandawa tribe. It is heartbreaking to repeat that 28 separate clashes have occurred during my administration, resulting in loss of lives and destruction of property worth millions of naira.
Now, the Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has facilitated the release of 62 prison inmates at Maiduguri Maximum Correctional Service. He also marked the June 12 Democracy Day with the commissioning of 20 road projects and hospitals. Trust TV's Bitrus Kurutsi has more.
In the early hours of the day, the Borno State Governor toured the Maiduguri metropolis to commission projects such as the Mainikenendi, Dipcharima, Ngaranam, Waziri, and Margi roads, among others. He also commissioned and inspected construction projects at Kaleri General Hospital and the 200-bed capacity orthopedic hospital, including the 4,000-seat capacity International Conference Center site. The governor paid a visit to the Maiduguri Maximum Correctional Service, facilitated the release of 66 inmates, and donated cash, livestock, and food items to the 1,280 inmates. Governor Zulum disclosed that his government will continue to prioritize health, assuring that he will initiate projects that will improve the lives of the people.
Very good gesture. In addition to this, we supported the inmates with about 30 million naira. We did not stop at this particular gesture. We decided to support them by providing technical and vocational education, digital literacy, construction of mosques, and then food and non-food items. After this, we also performed two very important obligations. Construction of orthopedic hospital in Maiduguri. Maiduguri has a population of about 3 million with no orthopedic hospital on ground.
Under the 6 years of Zulum's government, more than 1,000 projects have been executed in health, road, education, agriculture, and other sectors. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Now, mixed emotions have continued to shape public opinions on Nigeria's democratic journey, especially as the country marks another Democracy Day. In Bauchi, residents shared their perspective with Trust TV's Adamu Imam, expressing concerns that what they witness in practice often falls short of the promise and potential of democracy. The report.
Many Nigerians continue to lament that a country like Nigeria, rich in resources and potential, should by now be among the world's developed nations. Sadly, they say the reality is quite the opposite. According to them, the nation's leadership appears more focused on self-serving interests than on addressing the needs of ordinary citizens. They cannot meet our needs, nor can they protect our lives and property, even though we gave them the mandate to lead us. I have witnessed a heartbreaking situation in the northwest between Katsina and Zamfara, where a human being is harrowing farmland, something that should be done by cattle due to the insecurity in the region. Democracy, despite its flaws, is still far better than military rule because it guarantees freedom. Freedom of expression alone earns you respect in the eyes of the world. Whatever people say is open to criticism. The cost of living has reached an unprecedented level, especially with the soaring prices of food and other essential needs. We are already feeling the impact of bad policies, particularly the removal of oil subsidy by the current government. The high cost of fuel cannot be overstated.
As you can see, everybody is busy patrolling, looking for food to eat. If you want to celebrate, at least your pocket has to be full before you celebrate. When you don't have money, with what will you celebrate? Democracy. Democracy with hungry, with empty stomach.
The thing is not easy for the citizen. So, but we are, thank God, we will not stop praying for our leaders. So we pray that they will do more. God will help them, they will do more.
They maintain that despite 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, many are still struggling to afford basic necessities, including food. They call on leaders to implement policies that prioritize the welfare of the common man and ensure that the dividends of democracy are truly felt at the grassroots. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And now in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has released a summary of its monthly report of April 2025. The state-owned oil firm announced that it made a revenue of 5.89 trillion naira in the period under review. NNPCL disclosed this in a monthly report summary released through its X account on Thursday. According to the report, the company recorded a profit after tax (PAT) of 748 billion naira with crude oil and condensate production at 1,606 barrels per day, while natural gas production stood at 7,473 million standard cubic feet per day. The report noted that NNPC made statutory payments amounting to 4.225 trillion naira between January and March 2025. Similarly, NNPC reported that the Obiafu-Obricom urban gas pipeline OB3 and the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline are 90% and 70% completed respectively. It added that petrol availability in its retail stations nationwide stood at 54%, while upstream pipeline availability was 97% as of April 2025. Now, billionaire entrepreneur Aliko Dangote has officially retired as chairman of the board of directors of Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC. A statement signed by Dangote Sugar Refinery's company secretary Temitope Hassan confirmed that Dangote's retirement becomes effective on June 16, 2025. The development ends a 20-year tenure that shaped the company's growth and market leadership. A founding director of Dangote Sugar Refinery, Dangote has played a pivotal role in the company's expansion, ensuring steady shareholders' value, solidifying its corporate governance framework, and navigating key industry development. Throughout his tenure, the company executed major backwards integration projects in Adamawa, Taraba, and Nasarawa states, aimed at strengthening its supply chain and boosting domestic sugar production. Following a thorough selection and transition process, the board of Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC has appointed Arnold Ekpe, an independent non-executive director, as the company's new chairman effective June 16, 2025. And now, away from Nigeria, more than 200 people have been killed when an Air India flight crashed shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad Airport in western India. Authorities said on Thursday the Boeing 7878 aircraft bound for London Gatwick Airport was carrying 242 passengers and crew when it came down on Thursday in a residential area, crashing into a medical college hostel outside the airport during lunch hour. City Police Commissioner G.S. Malik told Reuters that 204 bodies had been recovered from the crash site. Malik said the bodies recovered could include both passengers and people killed on the ground. Later, Indian media reported that at least one person had survived the crash. Footage showed smoke billowing from the crash site. According to air traffic control at Ahmedabad Airport, the aircraft gave a mayday call, signaling an emergency, but after that, there was no response. And now Kenyan police fired tear gas on Thursday to disperse protesters in Nairobi, angered over the death of a blogger in police custody. The demonstrations, which turned violent with reports of vehicle being set on fire, erupted a day after Resident William Ruto that the blogger died at hands of the police. Ojwang was arrested last week in western Kenya for allegedly dreaming the country's deputy chief. Demonstrations in Nairobi blocked a road leading to Parliament, where the national budget was scheduled to be presented. They demanded Lagut's resignation. On Wednesday, Ruto described Ojwang's death as heartbreaking and unacceptable. And it's now time for Sport Update with Joseph Peter.
Nigerian athletes at the ongoing NCAA Championship in Oregon are smashing new personal best records in various athletic events. Ezekiel Nathaniel was in an unbelievable form during the 400-meter hurdle semi-final, storming to victory with a blistering 47.86 seconds, a new personal best, Nigerian national record, and the fastest time in the NCAA this season. Also, Samuel Ogazi stormed to victory in his 400-meter semi-final, clocking an impressive 44.77 seconds. He finished ahead of Shane Boyce, who came second in 45.15 seconds, and Ahmad Robinson was third in 45.35 seconds to become the fastest time across all heats. Another athlete, Kayinsola Ajayi, stormed to new personal best of 9.92 seconds to win his 100-meter semi-finals at the NCAA Championship in Oregon. He qualified for the final with the fastest overall time and is now officially the fourth fastest Nigerian man in history over the distance. Sunday, Israel Okon delivered a brilliant performance at the NCAA Championship, clocking 10.07 seconds to equal his personal best and secure a spot in the men's 100 meters final. He finished second in his semi-final behind Jelani Watkins, who won the race in 10.02 seconds. That's Sport News. I'm Vincent Peter.
And with that, we have come to the end of the News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and also watch us live on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. My name is Idris Dayabatura, thanking you for being with us. Goodbye for now.